Hello ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome back, this is Force, and here today we're going to talk a bit about Overwatch and whether or not I think the game is overhyped. Hype's a big, scary word whenever a new game is getting ready to launch or, well, it's going through the marketing madness. Alright, make no doubt about it. Blizzard is doing its best to get you hyped about this game so that you want to get in and play it and spend money on skins or whatever they end up doing. Every company does that. They want you to buy their games because if you don't buy their games, companies shut down. This is how it works. So hype is kind of a big scary word for a lot of people, and a company like Blizzard can certainly afford to try to hype up its game, and they do a lot of things like, I don't know, giving keys to streamers and YouTubers, pointing at self, to get people to put out content so that people see the game and get excited about it. Catch-22 there, though, is if you're putting your game out before people, it has to be good. Otherwise, if they're making content, people are just going to start bashing it, saying this game feels like shit, plays like shit, this is bad, that's bad. That's not happening here. You know, there's certainly going to be critiques that you can point at, and I'm not saying I think Overwatch is perfect. It's not perfect. No video game is perfect, really, but Overwatch is pretty damn good. Let's break down the reasons I think the game is not overhyped. Number one, when it comes to any game for me, bar none, gameplay is the most important thing. And there's this ambiguous feel of a video game that people always talk about, and some games nail the feel, some games not so much, and the feel comes from different aspects of the game. It comes from the visuals, the animations, the sounds, and also how tight and responsive the gameplay is. And then you can also go into whether or not a game has a level of depth, the meta that can be created and formed. Overwatch pretty much nails all of it. The game looks amazing. I think it sounds great. I'm not going to say amazing. And the reason I'm not saying it's amazing is because I'm coming off the back of recently spending a bunch of time with Battlefield. And I tell you, man, DICE nails game sound like no other. I was blown away by the game sound, and it does have an effect on the gameplay. It has an effect on how you feel when you play it. The sound is still really good in Overwatch, though. I don't want to shortchange it. The sound is really good, and that's all important. The way a shooter in particular for me feels, it comes down again to when you're trying to perform actions. Is your character, is your avatar in the game doing things the way you want them to? And when you actually fire your projectile, shoot your laser, whatever you're doing, does it feel good? And once again, that comes down to the visuals, the animations, the sounds that come from your weapon, the sounds when your weapon hits the enemy, and the animations that are displayed when your enemy is taking that projectile, how they respond to it based on the damage, all that stuff. Blizzard nailed it. I'm very impressed for their first FPS foray, and not even just that. We don't even need to give it that caveat. It's just good all around. Gameplay, fantastic. So much. That's the reason I've been playing about 8 hours a day since the beta started. If the gameplay wasn't there, I would have dropped this probably after the first day or two. I think the second big thing that's really impressed me about Overwatch is just the character design. You know, being a brand new universe for them, they've had to come up with new characters with new backstories and all of that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm all into the lore and tell me about Soldier 76 history and why he is the... I don't care. Generally, I don't care. But the way the characters look and their personalities in game with the VO that's attached to the various things that they do, it's just, there's some really quirky, fun characters. There's some really cool, badass characters like Reaper, who you're seeing here in the background. He's just living up to every angsty teenager's dreams. And just all around, I've been really impressed with the variety of the character design. And variety is actually something I'm going to touch on a little bit later as well. Next thing I want to move to, why I don't think this game is overhyped. The game looks amazing. The visuals are fantastic. We're not getting blown away here with the highest pixel, best, you know, most polygons. Like, that's not what it is. The vibrancy, is that a word? How vibrant the world is, and the variation of the levels. Variety is a big word that we're using a lot here, and I think that's really good. That's a really good thing. The world has some really great color. It's got a lot of pop to it, and there's some great variety of levels, which also, because this takes place in a altered version of the world that we live in, means we're visiting some interesting places, be it Russia or God, I can't even think of other places. I know there's a Russia level. I know there's like an Oriental base level, and I know there's just a lot of variety. My brain's just not working right now. Watch Point Gibraltar, where is that set? Is that like in Spain or something? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know the names of the maps, but I could tell you every one of the corridors in them if you asked me to. Anyways, point is that there's a lot of visual variety, and with the color, it just makes it aesthetically very pleasing when you're playing. And again, if that wasn't there, I'd have a tough time sinking this much time into it, as I have been. And then the last thing I want to touch on that I think is really great about this game, once more, is variety. The variety in heroes and the variety in possible combinations. Now, unlike, we can point to Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 has its different characters. It's a great game. So many people love it. It's not nearly the level of variety that we see here. And I'm not just, you know, you're going to say, well, boo, poo to you, Force, because you don't even play TF2, but I've heard TF2 professionals say that very thing. The variety in this game is huge. So many different heroes with so many different abilities, and the possible combinations. Yesterday, I saw a gameplay where a team was running double Zarya, and they were basically using their personal shields and their ally buff shields to keep shields on each other permanently, more or less, basically making it so that they always had this 100 damage boost, making them like an unstoppable wrecking force. That was the first time I'd seen that. It seems so freaking obvious. But that's one of the great things about Blizzard's decision to have multiple possibilities of each character on a team. It's that you can do fun things like that. You could have this like permanently buffed up Zarya duo roaming around, just blowing up faces. I mean, and that's just one small example. With all of the different heroes that they have in the game, and more still to come, it's like MOBA levels of variety. Now, we're not quite there yet. It's still a relatively small roster. I think we're sitting at, like 15 or 16 right now, but there's already some more in the pipeline that we know about. We know there's a melee green sword character who's like Hanzo's brother, maybe, or Hanzo in a suit or something. We know there's a Diva, the StarCraft 2 Mecha Pro. We know there's another building character that's possibly going to be able to alter the terrain, and that's just what I can think of off the top of my head. There's possibly even more that we already know about, and more likely to come. So all of these things put together, the gameplay, character design, the visuals, and the variety, these are the reasons why I don't think Overwatch is overhyped, and I certainly think that this is a game that's going to be here to stay, and at least for me, hopefully a game that I'll be playing for quite some time to come. Alright guys, well thanks so much for watching this video. Please chime in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Do you think Overwatch is overhyped? How do you feel about some of the things that I talked about here? I'd love to hear all of that in the comments below. Have a great afternoon guys. I'll see you later.
This might sting.
Back up!
We got this! Just hold on a little longer.
Victory! Play of the game.